Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people. And you know, I love my intro, it's so fun.
I love it too.
My name is Steph Sia. I am also known as Kimchi. I am your host. I'm your host every week. Every Sunday there's a new episode, and every week there's a new guest. So we do have a fancy naked person on today. Very, very fancy indeed. She goes by the name Joyen. Hello, Joyen. Hi.
I'm naked right now.
I'm also naked right now. It's freaking hot in here. But it's especially hot for you because Joyen is joining us all the way from Manila in the Philippines, where it is extra hot because it is humid, hot and wet weather over there right now because I've been there during that time and it's gross.
Yep. Not the nice kind of hot and messy.
No, it's just like, okay, I need to take a shower every 2 hours now.
Yep.
So, Joyen is an artist of many sorts, and I'm going to try to like list it all out right for you right now. I'm going to try to name as many things as I can. And then I'm sure I'm going to miss a few, but here we go. So Joyen is a dominatrix, fetish, erotic, burlesque performer, aerialist, wrote Bondage dominatrix specifically, apparently also a rock vocalist and fine art photographer, which I also read and while I stalked you. I was surprised. I'm like, what the heck? I did not know. Like, oh my gosh, like, girl, how do you have time for all of this? Where do you find the time?
I guess I'm still a little bit old-fashioned when it comes to it. You know those old-timey performers?
Okay.
Or even like in Broadway, they would wear a lot of hats. I guess what they call them right now is triple threat artists.
Oh yes. You
know, singers, actors, dancers. Sometimes they're their own producers and managers.
Yes.
I guess I'm still pretty old-fashioned in a sense that I still believe in those kinds of performers, those kinds of artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what? Okay, so but it's more than three things.
Oh yeah.
You have a lot of things going on there. Like, I don't even know where to begin, but like how we met. So we met almost a year ago when I was in the Philippines physically, when I was still able to travel. Yeah, and we met at a workshop at Beast House, which is an amazing pole and aerial studio. Amazing.
The best in the country. It's my home studio.
There we go. Represent. If you guys are in Manila, check it out. It's awesome. But I remember connecting with you there, and I was like, oh my gosh. I like checked you out. I followed you on Instagram. I'm like, girl, man, I should have gotten you on my podcast. I was like thinking of bringing my like mic and everything with me, but then I was just there in such a short amount of time, and then I was like leaving the next night.
Flew out right after that class, right?
I did. Like I went to the spa right after, and then I flew out.
Wow. Insane.
It was tiring.
And that workshop was really hard.
It was really hard. We took like a really intense like floor work class, and then there was like 2 other pole classes that were hard too, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna make use of my time here. And I did. But I got to meet you, and I found you to be really interesting. I totally stalked you on Instagram and online and all the places, but like, can you tell the audience who you are on your own terms, in your own words? Because I just picked what was on your Instagram and on your website, and I probably missed a couple things, so go for it.
You did really well, actually. Probably better than I would, because how I like to explain, I guess, myself to people who ask, and they're usually pretty confused. I just say that I'm someone who does what she wants.
There we go. Nice and simple.
Yeah, it's really that simple. I mean, all of these things, the BDSM, fetish, burlesque, and even stripping, they just came about because I wanted to do them, and I wasn't really thinking about like, the repercussions or the I really wasn't. It just, these things resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, created some waves in this side of the world. without
Yeah.
me intending to. That's the funny thing. It's
Oh
like
my gosh.
it was just natural. Yeah, it was just natural to be all naked and evil and shit.
Naked and evil and shit. I love it.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Well, you have so many stories, and I don't even know where to begin. Like, did you want to maybe, I don't know, get started with, I guess, telling the story and how you got involved with the kink community in the Philippines, too, and navigating around, like, how conservative the Philippines is as well. Like, there's a lot of stuff
All
to
of the
unpack
shit.
there. There's a lot of shit there. So,
It's a lot of shit, yeah.
yeah, like, did you want to try to start there?
Yeah, sure, sure. So I may be a stickler for oversimplifying things, but yeah, all of these things, all of these yeah, ventures into the kink scene, rope and burlesque and stripping, I would say that they happened by accident.
Oh,
Again, because these things came naturally to me. Okay, and I
okay.
guess when I was very young, or when I was just growing up, I didn't really go out. It was just me and the computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know
Seriously,
exactly.
right. We're computer babies practically, and
We
the
are.
computer and media raised us. Deviant art
Yeah. Oh my
raised
God,
us.
deviant art
Right,
throwback.
right. Deviant art and live journal were
Live.
like my yeah, they were
Yes.
my standards of normal cree,
Right.
and when I went out in the world, apparently I'm weird, I'm strange, I'm how I didn't know. you know these were my aesthetics when I was growing up. So the alternative girls, suicide girls, even.
Yes.
It was only then when I was growing up and I guess interacting with the rest of the world. That's when I realized that they were alternative things,
Right.
and
Mm.
most of them weren't available in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess stubborn little me would put up these shows and these events. In the process, maybe educating, I found myself turning into an educator, turning into a person wearing multiple hats
Hats.
just by doing what I wanted.
Right. Wow.
You see, yeah, it was just that. Like, I wasn't trying to be the pioneer of anything. I wasn't trying to, consciously wear a lot of hats. It just happened. And then I'm like, yeah, you know what? That is a lot of things.
But you do a lot of things, and you do a lot of things well. Like you're basically a kink icon in the Philippines. Like I also read.
That depends.
I think so. I think so. And also in my research, you were also a Playboy Playmate in the Philippines as well.
Yeah.
You have
Good
your
times.
yeah, like what the heck? And you have your own card in like Card Against Humanity. What the fuck? You're so
The
crazy.
local version.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Well, it's I guess because it's a novel thing here in this side of the world. It's just a matter of maybe I was the one who first started doing it this openly and this consistently.
Right.
And word gets around. I mean, it's a small town. It's a small town. And because of the internet, I guess it seems like such a big deal. But I'm like, okay, guys, it was all by accident and selfishness. But okay, that's great.
I love
Glad to be
that.
an interview with you. So great.
Well, as you said, like it's still like seen like BDSM, sex, burlesque, all this stuff, any kind of like erotic stuff, or even like very sensual stuff, is still considered as very, very taboo. And we briefly talked about that during the Sugar and Spice Festival in Singapore last week.
Yeah,
At the time of recording. Yeah, so we were able to like really, really, really touch on a lot of things there too, because it is vastly different than how things are viewed in North America. Very, very different. So, but I want to hear more in terms of like, so I know that you did things by accident and on accident and stuff. How did you specifically get involved with rope bondage and the art of like, I guess, ropes in general? How do you get involved with that kind of stuff?
I know, right? How can that be accidental?
That is not accidental because you don't literally find yourself in a bind.
I, well,
Or do you?
it depends. It depends. That's nice. That's a good one. I think I'll steal that. Anyway, with regards to rope bondage, okay, I guess that it could start. One of my points of starting, I guess, is it was one of my plates for a fine arts class.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I can't pinpoint it to one thing, but art has always been there. Art and performance, they've
Hmm.
always been there. In this case, I can trace it as far back as college. Yeah, college when I
Wow.
was coming up with a pre-thesis set of works, collection of works for a fine arts class, and all of these things, deviant art, live journal, probably influenced me to think to do bondage photographs or araki,
Oh,
nobuyoshi.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, Japanese media or anime. Anime is a huge influence.
Totally.
I don't know why I chose that. I can't remember the reason aside from the fact that I found it beautiful. I
Yeah.
found it sculptural even. I've always had an affinity towards the nude androgynous body that
Hmm.
was bound in rope.
Right.
And I can't explain where those aesthetics come from. They could be from anime, they could be from Suicide Girls,
Hmm.
from the goth community, from a lot of things. But
Lots of different
that's when,
influences.
yeah, that's as far back as I can trace it. And
Okay.
then that's when I started getting all of these reactions, right?
Right.
I would get weird looks from my professor.
I
Yeah, I would get
bet.
weird looks from my professor because I didn't consider it as as taboo or sexual back then. It just looked beautiful to me.
Yeah.
I guess I was even a little bit ignorant back then about the implications of what I was doing, which is why I
Mm.
said that it was accidental. And then people started inviting me to do exhibits, okay? And
Oh.
I didn't want to perform. I didn't even want to perform. As in, there was just this random guy who told me that, hey, we're having an exhibit opening. Can you perform the photographs that you submitted? It never occurred to me.
Oh my
Okay, so,
gosh.
and then, yeah, it never occurred to me at all because I just wanted to be, someone taking photos of people and tying them up. So, tying people up and shooting them.
No big
That's what I
deal.
wanted to be. Yeah, yeah, that's what I wanted to be. That's why I started out as a photographer.
Right.
Because, yeah, that's really my trade. That's my profession. I really wanted to be a photographer. But it seems like the reception of me performing is a lot higher and a lot better than me, being behind the scenes.
Right.
So I
It's
was
it's
like, I just
different.
went with the flow.
Oh my gosh. Like, okay, so you were photographing, I guess, models for
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah,
and also participating in terms of tying them up. Like, where did you actually
yes.
learn the skills? Is that just something you learned online, or like was there classes for that that were offered in the Philippines, or how did you get exposed to that kind of training, if there was training?
Okay. So yeah, yeah. Here in the Philippines, along with doing things accidentally, we actually have a kink community.
Oh,
In every country that you go to, we keep in touch via
yes,
fetlife.com,
right.
and you'll see, yeah, you'll see communities in different countries. Even like the most conservative countries have the craziest kink communities,
Always
right?
happens
So we
like
had
that.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 definitely, right? So we had that, and in the Philippines, rope is actually a major kink. Okay, so
Oh,
you talk to anyone in the kink scene here, they know at least a little bit about rope.
really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
I had
yeah.
no idea.
So, yeah, yeah, people here are kinky motherfuckers. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
You can definitely
Shit.
swear. Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Feel free to go swear, man.
Yeah, that's fine. You can add that.
I encourage
Um,
it.
Oh, great, great. So I sought that out because I had a feeling, I had a feeling because I was going to deal with the body and it was bondage, right? It was restricting or impeding movement. I had a feeling that I needed, some sort of guidance before I
Yeah.
began with something like that. So I sought the rope community out, and they were able to give me, my first ever lessons on safety and risk management.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went through this process of taking local classes, getting in touch with rope instructors, international rope instructors online, subscribing to shibaristudy.com, all of these rope resources that are available online,
Oh.
buying
Wow.
books for myself. And it was a lot of self experimentation at the start.
Okay.
Just getting the literal hang of it. Just
So
getting
many puns in this episode.
I know, right? I'm such a yeah. I love a good pun.
I love it.
Yeah. So there, and then it wasn't until very much later, actually, just in 2018, I think. I've had a number of teachers, but none of them were consistent or regular. I found the teacher. Sometimes the student needs the right teacher to learn.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
100%.
found. Right, exactly. So no matter how good the teacher is, right, it's ultimately like the student who it's a two-way thing.
It
I mean,
is.
it's a two-way process, right? So I
Right.
found the teacher of my dreams, of my rope dreams in Japan
Oh,
last
okay.
2018. Yeah, and I've been trying to study. I've been trying to become fluent in Japanese so I can go there and get certified by him,
Wow.
learn under him.
How did you find him? Just through online?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I guess we're gonna talk about it more later, but everything is online.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
was like a random trip to. It was like a random trip to Japan. Although Japan is one of my favorite countries in the world, and he had a class that day. The day I arrived in Tokyo,
Oh my
so I
god.
was even. Yeah, I was too tired even, but my partner was like, "No, we gotta go." Okay, so and when I met him there, I was like, oh fuck, He spoke like four English words and I spoke four Japanese words, but it was the most meaningful lesson that I've had in almost 10 years of
Wow.
practicing rope.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible. Such a great opportunity too.
Again, by accident.
Okay, yeah. Just so happened to be there at the right place, the right time, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like destiny. I mean, I'm a
Crazy.
planner. I'm a mega planner, but it seems like these things happen a lot by chance or luck.
The
So
stars are lining.
yeah, yeah, I'm giving power
That's
for those things.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that you were able to take that class and connect with that teacher in Japan because I believe, obviously, I think Shibari has Japanese roots or it was originated in Japan
Yeah.
too. So,
Yep.
yeah, so that's really, really cool. And that wasn't too long ago, too, that I said that was just back in 2018.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, amazing.
This little rope mongrel lost, masterless rope mongrel. I, you know, I feel like I've learned everything that I can in the Philippines, and you gotta keep learning. There's always
Hmm.
that thirst to keep learning, and I finally found that in Japan. Yeah, just two
Wow.
years ago.
That's
Yeah. So
incredible.
yeah,
No,
please go
that's
ahead.
no, that's super cool. I'm just amazed at that, and like, it's just such an intricate art movement fetish. I don't know even
Definitely.
know where to put it. I don't even want to put it in like a box, but like, it's so beautiful. I've seen a lot of rope demonstrations. Like, we have a big conference. Oh, I don't say conference, but like sex convention here in Vancouver called Taboo. And they usually,
Mm,
yeah, they have like a bunch of demonstrations there too, where you can kind of sit in different workshops. And I remember seeing the one on Shibari and just being so enamored by it, and also just really feeling intimidated by like, how do I even get started with this?
it's so mesmerizing. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. The energy that the Shibari players have, it's like watching a painter or a sculptor. create their artwork. It's like that, but it's with people's bodies and rope. It's
It
amazing.
is amazing.
It's amazing. And where to begin? I mean, of course, I guess since those are professional demonstrations, they're already advanced and beyond.
Yeah.
But the thing to remember about shibari, just think about it like origami.
Yeah.
Just think about it like origami. There are just maybe two basic folds, like the mountain and the valley fold, right?
Right.
And then when you fold them so many different ways as you go through your journey in origami, you can get to make really intricate shit from
Totally.
there. So it's kind of like that. It
Yeah.
starts with really really basic principles, and then you just add them up and multiply them, and you learn more about them, and it turns into something grand. That's
Wow.
how it is. It's
That's so cool.
like this, like my experience. I guess it just started as a very simple thing.
Yeah, totally, because it
Yeah,
just keeps growing and keeps adding on to
yeah, exactly,
so many
exactly.
different forms. Because you have like a lot of different disciplines as well, as I mentioned early on in this episode. You were able to really kind of work and I don't know interweave your love for rope bondage with burlesque, with aerial arts, with everything else that you do in terms of movement and like having that artistic approach. I don't even know where to start with this question, but like basically, where did you get the idea in terms of like kind of marrying your love for rope bondage and aerial arts and like performing? Because you had those invitations initially where people would ask you to perform at certain events and stuff too. Like, when did you start to really take on that and like make it your own?
I guess it was just the natural flow of things. Also, I still tried, very much to become the photographer that I thought I was destined to be. I still tried producing photo exhibits. I still tried singing in a rock band, much to everyone's dismay. But then it just started. I just started naturally getting more performing gigs,
Right.
and then it was a gradual thing. Like it didn't happen overnight. It sort of crept up on me that, hey, you know what? Maybe people want to see you on stage, and not the person that you're tying. So
Right.
yeah, and I still have to make a conscious decision to do that. Actually, now, for example, in my social media, I used to always feature my models and my artwork because I am proud of my models and my artwork
Yeah, of
and my
course.
photographs. Yeah, right.
For sure.
But then I would get much more engagement with selfies. What the fuck? So I guess people responded to that better, the person better, and I just went with flow, when it comes to that. And yeah, it has been good so far, and
Yeah.
it's been nice and healthy for me. I also have a tendency, I guess, to really give 200% to whoever I'm tying at the moment, whatever project I'm working on at the moment, and
Right.
almost leave none for me. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
yeah, that's a bad habit that I have, and it reflects on it used to reflect on my social media. Now it's becoming a lot healthier for me to focus on me,
Yeah,
and
totally.
yeah, and the audience likes that better also, so it's a win-win, I
Yeah,
guess.
for sure. I mean, it takes some time to get to that point too, because sometimes like
Yeah, yeah.
there's a whole like imposter syndrome too. You're like, ah, no,
Yes, exactly.
yeah, like I don't know if I'm good enough. Do people really want to see me? Are they really interested in me?
Exactly. Yes, yes, exactly.
I totally get it. I understand completely.
Right? Yeah.
I also want to like pivot the conversation a little bit too in terms of like your work as a burlesque artist in the Philippines, in Manila as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? How you got started with that type of movement?
Sure. So this is gonna come as no surprise to you. It also started by
Another accident.
Yeah, another happy accident. So it happened around 2015 or 2016, I think. It's very young, it's
Yeah.
barely, I think that's a toddler, right? 4 years old.
Yeah.
4 years old, 5 years old. And I've been in the kink community before that. So for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Almost twice the time that I've been dancing, right? And what do you call this? I had no dance experience back then. I was very insecure with my movement skills or lack thereof.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, but the idea was attractive to me. I was like, yeah, and it even started as I wanted to do a stripper group, an all girls stripper group,
Ooh.
not even burlesque. Okay,
Oh,
because
okay.
yeah, it started out that way. I didn't even want to do burlesque. Burlesque found its way towards me because I guess it was a way for me to balance, being an artist and a performer here in the Philippines.
Right.
Sort of easing it in my audience also, because if I started as a stripper group here in the Philippines, I wouldn't be as prolific. I
Right.
guess there would be even much more censorship than there is now.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's another
yeah,
topic too, censorship.
yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly, exactly. And in a developing country that's predominantly Catholic, nonetheless, right?
Yep.
Catholic and Muslim.
Yes.
So, so a group of friends and I, who were all pretty much kinky, we decided to come up with a burlesque show, with a strip
Oh,
show. Yeah.
cool.
And we sold out the shows. We were standing room only. We started getting
Wow.
booked for gigs in
Wow.
yeah. It was weird. It just snowballed. We started getting booked for gigs in Boracay, which I think
Ooh.
you might know as like the nicest beach, one of the nicest beaches here in the Philippines.
Yes. I
Yeah, we
have
were
been.
being flown in and out. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it
Wow.
was like happening before my eyes, and I'm like, what?
You didn't even have,
Okay.
yeah, you didn't have any time to digest it all.
No. I guess it was just now that we're in forced house arrest, or forced retreat, right? Now,
Yeah.
now I'm beginning to slow down and really like evaluate and I guess evaluate and try to see what the hell just happened in the past few years. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it began, and then now it's this group. We have like 20, maybe 20 members, performers.
Oh,
We have a
wow.
constitution, and we
What?
have a website. Yeah,
That's so cool.
it's amazing. But again, it's really just a simple thing that snowballed, that origamied its way
Yeah.
into what it is now. Yeah.
Totally. It's always a work in progress too. And like you said, it was
Definitely. Yeah.
really interesting that you mentioned okay, you were originally going to be a stripper group, and then you
Yeah.
kind of shifted and were like, okay, maybe we'll do burlesque too. Did you think that was more because it's burlesque would be a bit easier for the audience to digest, as
Yeah.
opposed to just going right into stripping right away?
Yeah, definitely. When I was just starting, admittedly, also, I made the conscious decision to focus on the arts, on the artistic aspect of
Right.
it, particularly because my mindset back then was of an artist.
Yes.
Okay, it
Yes.
was of an artist. I was doing it. I was doing it primarily to create art, to explore with my body, to try to be comfortable with movement. I was in that mindset back then, and
Okay.
the audience also, which is like this art audience in a very specific part of town, also accepted and digested it that way.
Right.
Although in my short career as a dancer, as I learned to live and grow and fall in love with this art form over and over again, I now identify as a burlesque stripper because I do it.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what? It's nice to do it for sex and for money. It's great.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
it's nice to get paid properly, and it's nice to. I love this job.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's a great job.
Yeah.
Sex work is
Yeah.
real work, guys, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
gotta
It
say.
is. It is. It is. But I of course went through that. That existential crisis, that sexistential crisis.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, as I was yeah, from then to now, it was a changing thing. I was trying to be at peace with myself. Is this really the right thing to do?
Right.
Of course I was struggling with it also, because there's so many evil factors here in the
Yeah.
Philippines.
Totally.
But now that I'm alone here in my living room for almost half a year, I realize that this is great. And I'm happy and I am peace with being a sex worker. I love doing this shit, guys, and I'm good at it.
There you
So,
go. Fucking
yeah,
own
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I love that. But you know what? Like, I completely understand where you're coming from, because we almost use, at least when you start off with sex work, it's always kind of wearing a different layer in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? So, like,
Yeah,
as you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
you put the whole artistic spin on it as well, which, I mean, it is artistic in itself, but, like, you use that almost as, like, a shield, I find.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
you're not alone in that. Like, for example, for myself, when I started pole dancing and started stripping, I'd always like throw the athletic part of it first. I'm like, oh, I'm doing it for working out. I'm doing it for my body. I'm doing it for fitness, and then I'm doing it for the money afterwards. But
Yeah, yeah.
like, it has taken me a long time to like get to that point where like I love doing what I do. Why am I being so shy about it? And why can't I just like wear this on my sleeve? You know what I mean? Like it. But I mean, it's a transformation. It's evolutionary too. It doesn't happen overnight, as you said.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way of putting it. It is a transformation. And it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing process. Sometimes there are bad days and there are good days. But
Totally.
then, in general, as long as it gives you peace, whatever it is, whether it's for the artistic side of it, or the fitness side of it, it is all part of that.
It is.
It is work.
It is
It's
work.
work, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Totally. And I loved something that you said here too, when we were speaking earlier, like planning the episode out. But you mentioned that you're an advocate of enabling female sexuality through movement and through performance. Would you like to like
Yes.
elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So I guess because here in the Philippines, I had to introduce a new brand of performance. I found myself becoming an educator as well.
Right.
Okay, I can't just perform. Apparently, I have to create my audience. I have to educate my audience so that I could sell that performance. And
Right.
right now, it's very, very much apparent in the movement classes that I've been regularly doing here while in quarantine. The burlesque classes, which are
Yes.
again, more palatable for the general public, for the general dance community here. In this class, I don't just teach choreography. Let's say I don't just teach sexy heels choreography. That's one thing,
Yeah.
and that's great. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I take a lot of pride in teaching my students how to think and how to give and receive love.
Right.
Okay, because that's something that Filipinos could use a lot more of. We forget, how to build a community, how to empower one another as women. In my classes, we're always put up against each other
All the time. I hate that.
all the time. As in, like, even in the alternative communities, even in like the kink communities or the sex worker communities here, right? As in the red light district, they're really competitive, really terrible,
Yeah.
terrible and unhealthy for one another. So what I'm trying to do, at least with these regular small circles, small burlesque classes, is to teach people not just how to perform, but also how to build a community and to just ultimately be more loving to themselves first, and then to other women, to fellow women.
That's so, so, so important. And I loved how you mentioned like the importance and like you stress the importance of building a community, especially during this time, which is like really, really, really tough. Again, in the Philippines, also here in North America, a lot of people have been isolating, quarantining at home. And it's hard to have that human connection just being stuck in your apartment alone for X amount of months, right? Like, sorry, like it's really cool that you were able to do this and create this community with your classes online and virtually.
Natural. It came natural to me. Like I felt like, if you put someone in like a metaphorical cage for so long, and I'm used to doing a lot of things, and working with a lot of people. Give me the online medium, and I'll be like, I'll try to work with it, try to create something with it, and in the process, maybe giving a little bit of my empowerment to the women who need it the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or able to receive it.
Totally.
I have a lot to give right now, and I can now, so I will.
Yeah, so why not, right?
Yeah, why not? Now is the time, right? Now is the time. Everything is online.
Everything is online. Like, was it difficult or challenging for you to move those in-person classes online and to like push and get your students and your following to kind of follow you online? Was that, is it difficult?
Yeah, it's a different monster altogether.
Yeah.
The medium is different, so I can only very comfortably teach dance classes and, do inspiring talks online. It's hard to do in-person, virtual BDSM sessions and BDSM workshops. Oh my God, it is so hard. Like COVID friendly and virtual friendly.
That's hard.
Bondage. Oh my God.
Like, how do you even navigate that? Like, without any, like, I would assume that you might have a partner to kind of work with or participate with. Like, how would you do that by yourself and without these in-person sessions? Like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that.
I know, right? There are ways to manage it. Like for example, I have an online virtual class wherein I teach very low risk self ties.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and also very low risk partner ties. And then I don't always require them to have rope. It could be things that they could easily find around the house.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because bondage doesn't always have to involve Japanese rope.
Right.
Okay? It could be, so there's this, I'm following one of my mentors. She's like a Japanese American, one of my virtual mentors. I follow her all the time. Follow her everywhere, right?
Cool.
Her name is Midori. I don't know if you've heard about her.
No, but I'll have to look her up after this.
Midori. She actually brought rope bondage in the States.
Okay.
That's how OG she is.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So she was the original geisha, the OG. What do you call this? Oh my God. So I couldn't resist. Anyway, one of the things that she said, right, about bondage is, you don't need rope. It could even be psychological.
Oh, okay.
And you could teach that. For example, she said that if she told you, don't move unless I tell you to, that's bondage.
Right. Wow.
That's psychological bondage. And sometimes, even that could even be the most dangerous kind.
Wow. I didn't even think of it in that aspect at all. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because bondage is about impeding or restricting movement. You
Right.
don't always have to use rope when doing that.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes a good point. You don't need to have physical restraints.
Yeah.
You can really set up that, like, as you said, psychological aspect of doing that. Really cool.
And that's what we need right now, but creative ways to think about it, in the safety of our home, because I can't be there to
Hmm.
spot them, to spot my student, to really guide my student. So I have to think
Yeah.
about safer ways for them to continue practicing, right?
Right. And I mean, like, obviously, there are some setbacks, as you said. Like, you can't be there in person with your students to help guide them. But, I mean, the good thing about making this so accessible as you have by putting this stuff online, you've been able to reach, like, a wider audience, though, too. So,
In a way, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like, I remember you were mentioning, like, a lot of your physical shows have been canceled, but you've also been able to connect and, like, do shows. I think you mentioned London. You also did another show in Vegas as well. Can you speak a little bit about that and how, like, it can also be seen as a positive
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's all that I've been thinking about during this period. I'm able to attend, dance classes in Paris,
Yeah.
in New York. I can connect with people, people there from Crazy Horse. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. And the shows, man. I guess because now time zones and travel time, they're social constructs now.
They are. They are indeed.
they are they are, right, when you're in the virtual realm. So
Hmm.
I was able to connect with cyber tees. They're It's a unionized group of strippers, of sex
Oh.
workers based in the UK, and I'm actually having another show with them on September 3rd,
Oh, cool.
London time. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
and
Wow.
it's crazy, because I'm able to learn so much. I learned so much from them, and how different their communities are. What
Hmm.
worked well for them, and so I can sort of reflect these in my little community here in the Philippines.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I was also able to connect with Andre Shakti. I don't know if you've heard of her.
No.
She's also a BDSM educator, based in Baltimore, and I'm also doing a
Cool.
show
Oh my
with them
god.
this September. Yeah, so many things are
What?
happening.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, and on August 28th, I'm doing a show with the Virtual Strip Club, which is in Chicago. It's crazy.
Whoa, that's awesome. So many
Yeah.
opportunities that you've been presented with.
Yeah, because they're just there for the taking. I don't need to spend so much on travel.
Yep, yep.
And yeah, I mean, I'm stripping in the comfort of my apartment. I'm safe. Nobody can touch me. If I feel uncomfortable, I can just shut off
Your
my
camera.
computer.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really
So
cool. Like
it's great. Yeah.
it's been a good thing. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there.
No, no, no. Please go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, it's really been cool to like take classes with your favorite instructors or instructors
Yeah.
like that you've always wanted to take classes with, but can't always travel to the Philippines or like Sydney or Hong Kong or anywhere else, right? Like everyone is able to access these classes now and these shows and these showcases and kind of be and kind of have or be exposed to like a different approach of teaching, different style of teaching, technique,
Yeah.
and stuff too, which has
Yeah.
been really, really interesting. I wanted to ask a question. I mean, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, all of these video conferencing kind of calls, that technology has existed for so long. Like, why do you think that we've never seen this accessibility option before? Like, how come? I mean, the option has always been there, but we've never taken advantage of it. Can you think of any reasons why we haven't been able to tap into
Oh my
that?
God.
It's so
I
crazy.
know, right?
It
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
so
yeah.
silly.
We just take all of the shit for granted, man. And of course, I guess when you do in-person shows or classes, sure, the experience is still different.
Totally different.
Our case here in the Philippines is that, let's say I'm doing a show later in the evening, I have to build my entire day around that,
Yeah.
because I'm sure you've experienced this. Travel time takes hours. It takes hours, so I have to plan and also the temperature, right? The
Oh my
temperature. It's
gosh.
tropical country, so I have to plan. My face has to last in the heat, and for so many hours, I have to bring my suitcase. I have to go there early because I'm gonna get stuck in rush hour.
Yep.
There's so many things, and it's ultimately mentally draining. Okay, one of my biggest sources of stress is the traffic and just the many
Oh my God.
inconveniences here in the
Yeah.
Philippines. Yeah, it's
Oh my
terrible.
gosh.
I have to figure out how I'm gonna eat.
Mm-hmm.
How while I'm outdoors, I'm carrying this huge suitcase. It's just so many things to think about. While we're doing in-person shows that we take for granted the fact that we are privileged enough to have this medium to connect with anyone in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a huge privilege. It's a
huge privilege. Like, it just baffles my mind. Like, when you asked me that question, we were chatting initially, I was like, yeah, like, that's right. Like, this has been around forever, but we've never utilized any of that. And now, everything is online. So if you're not online, you're missing out.
Yeah, if you're not online, you don't exist.
Yeah. You don't have a presence. You don't count.
Yeah. It's, I guess we were forced into it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know, I guess as a coping mechanism or, a way to think better of the situation is that I'm trying to see the good in it, I do have a lot to benefit from the boundaries suddenly being removed. The restrictions when it comes to travel and time zones. They're all removed for me. I'm able to have this interview with you. I'm able to connect with you.
I know, finally. Took almost a year.
And we've always been there, stalking each other online.
I know.
Now we found the time to do this because we're forced at home. So I'm trying to see the good in it. And honestly, even if they do discover the vaccine, I'm thinking of retaining my online offerings because it's great.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I was going to ask too, like, do you think this is just like a current trend just because we are forced into it because of COVID? Or like, do you think that the virtual access, do you think that will be something that's temporary and will disappear in the future?
I think for some people it will disappear because some people are still they do prefer in-person stuff, definitely, and some people cannot work virtually.
Right.
Some people cannot work virtually, but for us, for entertainers, and I think we should do like a 50-50 because 50-50 balance between in-person stuff and virtual stuff because it's great. It gives you so many options. You can connect with people, teachers, fans all across the world. You can be international from your own living room.
Which is great,
So
and it's not a bad thing. Yeah, exactly. Why not, right? So hopefully it'll be something that's like going to be here to stay, and there's going to be some longevity in that. But I wanted to kind of go into some Q&A here. There's a few questions that came in. So this person that's asking, I'm curious in rope bondage, but don't know where to start. Any advice for newbies?
Okay. From the start. I guess the easiest way to begin is to reach out to the local community. Mm-hmm. Okay,
100%.
So it's to go on FetLife, to do a little bit of research on FetLife, to see which instructors, which rope communities are available nearby, if that's an option.
Right.
If that's an option. Because these instructors or communities, they usually have beginner level events. It's like a standard.
Okay.
They have beginner level
It's like an introductory.
classes.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's like introductory
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, if they learn that way, then that's great. If they prefer in-person stuff. For virtual stuff, the virtual alternative is there's this really good website, video streaming, Shibari tutorials. It's called shibaristudy.com. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, they have beginners classes, as in like super duper basic, like how do you handle rope, how do you store rope, as
Oh,
in super
really
like
basic.
yeah, really basic, really basic to super duper advanced, like five poses transitioning in the air level.
Whoa.
And yeah, to begin, I think it's a really good starting course, if they just want to look and observe in the safety of their own homes right now.
Right.
But again, nothing beats in-person instruction when it comes to rope,
Right.
because there are a lot of risks when it comes to rope bondage. Even though it's just floor ties or bedroom ties, there's a lot of risk involved.
Right. And actually, you know what?
Yeah.
We didn't really go over the risk. Can you talk a little bit about the risk with rope bondage as well? I totally didn't even look at my notes.
Sure, it's okay. With rope bondage, it involves a lot of risks, not just physically. I mean, physically, you can guess what the risks are, right?
Yes.
I mean, from impeding blood flow to causing bruises to nerve damage, more serious things like nerve damage or even death.
Right.
There's an image that comes to mind with a person hanging on a rope, right?
Yeah.
Hanging on a piece of rope. So the physical risks are a little bit more obvious, but then
Right.
In almost a decade of practicing rope, I noticed that one of the biggest risks also is the change in behavior, change in psychology, maybe
Right.
the change in mindset from being tied up or from tying up. It changes people every time. Everyone
Really?
that I've ever worked with, they change when rope is involved, whether it's for the better or for the worse.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't
It has
even
an
think about
effect.
that. I didn't even think about the effect that it could have, mentally.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a bit complicated. Us human beings, we have a complicated relationship with bondage. Okay. Here in the Philippines, for example, it's very closely related to kidnapping,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Right.
Right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Kidnapping and torture.
Yeah.
So there's that, right? How do you manage that? How do you prevent that
From
from
happening.
happening?
Right.
Yeah. You
Wow.
can't leave a bound person alone. It changes them. It
Right.
goes. A rope on your body could feel, from anything from a hug, from a nice tight hug to torture.
Right. And
So that really affects you mentally. Sorry, go
no,
ahead.
no, that's okay. There's just such a fine line, and consent is so important
Yeah.
in that kind of role play. you
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Consent, communication, which is something also that doesn't come naturally to most people. What comes naturally to most people is assumptions.
Yes.
Assuming
Yes.
is very natural to people. Communication and consent is not. So how do you know, right? How do you know when somebody's changing for the worse? So how do you know when they're hurting in which area, right? There's
Right.
so many risks when it comes to rope bondage, and not just with the person being tied up. The person tying up also, I've seen this. They're overwhelmed with this huge sense of power over another person. It changes them.
Wow.
How do you manage that?
How do you manage that exactly?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many questions here. Oh wow, 'cause that was a really great question.
Yeah, sorry about that. I
No,
like to
no.
babble. So.
No, it's great. We just didn't really go over it earlier, so I was like, oh my god, I need to ask this question now. So
Yeah, before it's too late.
Before it's too late.
That's a whole course. That's a whole another 2 hours if you ask me. Rope
Yeah.
safety.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
What is the kink community like in the Philippines? Because you kind of briefly touched on that earlier.
Yeah. So the kink community in the Philippines, I've stopped actually trying to monitor the population. I stopped at a couple of 1,000 maybe.
Wow.
That may or may not be accurate, but
Okay.
this is based on FetLife, on the FetLife groups that we have here in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
And that ranges from anyone from super duper active community leaders, practitioners to lurkers.
Right. Everyone.
Everyone. That's everyone. So from like, oh, I'm curious, I want to create an account and just stalk people, to like super duper active,
Yeah.
people. Oh, and some of the people even fly in and out of the country. It's a mix of both expats, travelers, and locals.
Right. Wow. Cool.
So yeah, it's pretty diverse. I guess it's also because the Philippines is a popular sex tourist destination.
That too, and that's like a whole other topic too.
That's
Oh
a
my
whole
God.
other topic too.
Oh man, I've been meaning to do an episode on that, but my guest fell through. So I'm like, no, I need to find someone new for that. Yeah, because I had someone that worked for the UN in Thailand, and now I need to find someone new. So that will be a topic once I find the right guest. If you guys know anyone, let me know.
Sure. I'm trying to get in touch with this group also, the Philippine Sex Workers Collective.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. We have to Google that later.
Yeah,
Okay,
might be
cool.
interesting to get into. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah.
I digress.
That's okay. And I guess the last question, again, you already kind of touched on it with the first question, but how do you guarantee your safety when you're starting off in rope bondage?
Okay.
So
rope bondage, there are a lot of basic guidelines, okay? Basic guidelines on what constitutes kink and what does not constitute as kink. Okay?
Right.
So the most common guideline, and again, this is a whole nother topic, so I'm just gonna very quickly explain it. The thing that you will hear most of the time, the guideline, and we're a stickler for acronyms, is SSC, safe, sane, and consensual.
Okay.
Is it safe? Is it sane? Is it consensual? Safe meaning there is no risk.
Right.
Okay. Sane meaning it's within every participant's mental bounds.
Okay.
And that's very subjective. That's why you need to negotiate it.
Right.
Consensual means everyone has to willingly, knowingly, enthusiastically give their consent.
Right.
That's probably the most basic thing that you'll hear.
Okay.
Rope bondage, however, falls under another guideline, which is maybe the second thing that you'll ever hear as a kinky person. It's called RACK, RACK. That's risk aware consensual kink. And the difference between RAC and SSC is risk awareness versus safety. Okay?
Right.
So rope bondage acknowledges the fact that risk cannot be completely eliminated, but rather steps can be taken to responsibly manage the risks.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. And all participants agree to that.
Right.
Okay. So I have like this mega list of here are the risks in rope bondage, and I like to show that to my students, just so they know, I don't like sugarcoating, so I'm gonna show them all of the risks, and this is how you're supposed to manage them, and this is what and this is exactly what you're agreeing on. This is the session that you're agreeing to do. The presence of all of these risks, and this person will manage these risks, and these are their capabilities, these are their certifications, or do they have a certificate of first aid, where's the nearest hospital.
My
it's
gosh.
really
Wow.
it's super duper comprehensive. This is what we do in the event of this, so it's all like that. With me, I'm super duper formal when it comes to it because I don't like surprises,
No.
It's already a very unpredictable activity.
Right.
So I like to manage as far beyond as I can.
Right. Manage that risk. Totally.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you sound like an amazing teacher.
I
Take one of your
try. I
classes.
try because of my accidental experience.
You don't want that to happen to your students.
Yeah, yeah. You know the saying that you should become who you needed when you were younger. Nobody was
Yes.
like this to me, so I'm trying to teach as if I'm teaching myself.
Right.
And I'm a pretty crazy ass student, so I always have that in mind.
And that's what's gotten you so far, though, too. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere, and always remember, I guess, that you're ultimately competing against yourself. You're trying to make yourself better first before other people, and that just guides you along the way, you know?
Of course, of course. All good words to live by.
Yeah.
I guess that's the last question. But before I let you go, where can we find you?
So nowadays, I like to point people to my website. That's
Okay.
joyenjoyen.com. And patreon.com/joyenjoyen. There's so much censorship going on. I just lost my Facebook.
Oh my God.
But yeah, my Instagram is it's in danger,
Oh
so
no.
I don't really want to promote those. I'll just promote the top two, which I hopefully won't get censored from, which is a whole nother topic.
That
But
is
yeah,
another topic.
censorship. Yeah,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, my website and Patreon should do it for now.
Awesome.
We never know.
We never know. But
We never know.
this has been so fantastic. I am so glad to have finally connected with you and got you on the show. It was so much fun having you, Joyen. Thank you again. I know it's like the beginning of your day in Philippine time.
What better way to begin it, than to talk about sex and kink and accidents, happy accidents.
There we go. Thank you again for coming on the show today. Really appreciate your time. And don't forget to like, rate, share, subscribe, and review, guys. It's Strip by Sia on Instagram. Also, my personal is Sia Steph, and we'll catch you guys in for another episode next Sunday. Bye. You're listening to Strip by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia, artwork by Maria Bellandarama, music by Ted D, and photography by Ian Dabern.